Good morning, everyone. I am Chris Litster, and as Howard just indicated, I actually did pull probably one of the things that people in the meeting business and in the event space hate the most. That's a little bit of a changeroo at the very last minute. I changed up the entire thing that I wanted to share with you today, literally, I think about 72 hours ago. And I've been on the receiving end of that, and I will tell you that Howard has reacted very well to it, and I appreciate that. But let me tell you why I did that. There's an enormous opportunity for the event industry, for the event planner specific, in the small business space. And the other day, I'm from north of Boston, and the other day I was driving away from a wine store that I seem to frequent often, the one that is in my neighborhood, the one that I've gotten to know pretty well. The owner has become what I would consider a friend and someone that I've actually ended up helping with their business. And when we were talking, he was actually in the midst of planning a series of wine events, of tasting events, that were coming up for the holidays. And he was a little bit more kind of, I would say kind of not crazed, but he's a little bit more, he's always time-starved. Small businesses are always time-starved. And he was a little bit more on edge. And I said, Bill, what's wrong? Because I'm giving you a fair amount of business here, and usually you're happy to see me come in, because it's usually a case or so of wine that I'm buying for my friend and family. And he said, I just have all these things that I have to get done. I have this series of events, which sounded like a great idea when I came up with the idea, and I just need someone to help me. I said, well, I can help you. I'll spend some time, and don't worry about it, and we'll figure it out. I'm going away for a couple of days, but this weekend I'll come back, I'll stop by, and I'll help you. So I got in my car, driving away, and bang, it hit me. That's what I should share with you guys today. That's what I should share with you around the idea that there is an enormous opportunity of small businesses that perhaps don't have the traditional type of meeting, perhaps don't have the traditional type of event, but have events under the larger umbrella of events. And they need your help. They need help probably more than some of the larger kind of events, the more multiple track events that you may do on a more regular basis. And they're just pleading for your help. So I figured I'd talk to you about it and see if I could jazz you up to help you guys, see if you could help them out. So I'm talking here today representing Constant Contact and EventSpot. And as Howard talked about, we've been in the business for 12 years. We have about 500,000 customers. We have a bunch of products. And the whole reason for being is to help small businesses succeed and realize their dream. And part of that dream is the fact that every morning when they wake up, the first thing that they think about is, what do I have to do today so I can be here tomorrow? And an increasing answer to that question is the idea of events. Because for small businesses, the whole thing around relationships, the whole thing around making sure that they understand their customers is job number one. It's the most important thing to them, because from their customers, they're going to be able to get more customers and more business. And for them, over the past few years, events have become even more important. In certain segments, like the even smaller associations and nonprofits, events are their marketing. And so a few years ago, Constant Contact realized and saw this kind of growth that was happening, and we created a product. And today we have 35,000 customers using that product. And so again, this data that we're getting back from them is, I'm a proud small business owner. But these event things are hard. I can do everything, but I need help. Please find me someone that can help. And so we talk about small businesses, and the audience and the market that Constant Contact has gone after for the past 12 years is really the super small business. Before I came to Constant Contact 7 years ago, I was with IBM for a while, and IBM talked about small business. But for small business and IBM, that was still a company that had 500 people. Small business that I'm talking about today is a company that has 25 people, and most of the time actually has 3. So they're wearing every single hat. They also don't consider themselves doing sales or marketing. They just consider themselves living. They consider themselves surviving, again, to meet that goal that they have. The interesting thing is that Small businesses can be very, very loyal, and they recognize value, and they will pay for that value when they see it. For example, for years, you obviously need to have a web presence, and they are willing to pay upwards of $200, $250 a month for a web presence. It's that same type of opportunity, an ongoing, almost type of, think of a subscription type of thing from an events perspective, that they're willing to pay for. So very quickly, if we looked at this kind of the data 2 years ago, the idea of events wouldn't have existed on this list because they were jumping into the technology space. And even still today, technology from an email marketing perspective, and you may be thinking, no surprise, it's constant contact. Of course, email marketing is going to be number one. But everything on this list a few years ago would have been technology-based because they were looking to try to find a way to save time. They are so time-starved. Even if they try to plan something, even if they take that time during the early morning hours to put together a list, as soon as they walk into their place of doing business, that list goes out the window because there's been a flood in the back for some reason, there's a customer that's upset, somebody's calling from the school because their child just hit their head, and their delivery hasn't come in, so they can't meet the orders that they promised. And so this idea of time starved they thought was going to be solved by just all this technology, and it has solved that. But by doing that, they realized they've started to lose something. They started to lose that one-to-one relationship that has been historically so important to the backbone of this country, frankly, because it's been so important to the backbone of small businesses. And surprise, surprise, they turned to events. So just within the past 2 years, the addition of events into what they're doing, and not only what are they doing, but now look at what they're saying is the most valuable activity that they're doing. They realize again and again, and I realize this back to the wine store. I go to this gentleman's wine tastings, and he'll be going on prepping, and he'll be stressed out of his mind. The tasting starts, and it's like there's a weight that's lifted off of his shoulders. And he enjoys what he's doing. And it's almost like he remembers why he's in the business of the wine business, to help his customers understand the value of wine. And he wants to be able to spend more time doing that. And he wants to have somebody that helps him do a wine tasting, expand on his events, and do them even better. So even though today a lot of the events still are kind of classes and seminars, this idea of conferences, or classes and workshops, this idea of conferences and seminars is starting to really jump up as to what they're doing. Now, I'll have you know, these aren't kind of these type of conferences. Think of a conference in their minds as simply they have a bunch of customers, they want to try to get more people in, so let's have a financial kind of conference. Let's have almost a financial seminar, but they call it a conference to bring people in. And to start really, these are single track things, probably one day, probably after 5 o'clock after the normal workday. They don't have time to put these things together, even though they may be single track, even though they may have 1 or 2 speakers. They still have the same needs. They still have to find a place of where to have it. They still have to find somebody to come in to speak to it, because although they probably are the expert, they want to kind of show people that they have people in their network that can also help them. They need food. They need beverage, and they need someone to help them stay on time. And that is exactly, again, the opportunity that we feel from what we're seeing out there, that there's this huge untapped opportunity. So they're doing things like the fundraisers, and they're doing things like festivals, and they're doing things like wine tasting, and right now, all holiday items. So putting together the plan, because this is the best time for small businesses to set up those relationships for the remainder of the year and going into next year. So right now, the opportunity for someone, for people from an event planning perspective to come in and say, hey, I'll help you. The answer is going to be from the small business, hey, thank you, and I'll pay you for it. Please help me. So essentially why, small businesses, we keep calling out I'm calling out here why they're doing it and what they see. And there's some differences, but also why does everyone really want to do an event? Well, for us, for a small business, no matter what they do, they're always trying to, in a way, look like, as we call, one of the big guys. And to be able to conduct an event smoothly and flawlessly, for them kind of, again, reaffirms the idea that, yeah, I can do this just as well as a company that's triple, quadruple, or even 5 times my size. Look what I'm able to do at the same time that I know that I'm getting emails all the time from much larger companies that are doing events that, you know what, their content may not even be as good as mine. Talked about how important the relationship for customers, their customers are. They obviously want to, for them, small businesses, their lifeblood is their contact list. The idea that who am I doing business with and how can I grow that? Again, I talked about this just a minute ago. They need help. How many of you have ever gone to a wine tasting, gone to a information session, gone to any type of a smaller event, and walked in there and said, oh man, if I could only have been involved in this, I could have made this event so much better. So talk to the person. Go up and talk to the host. Be direct and say, hey, I have an event company. I'm an event planner, and I can help you do this better. I would bet you that 8 out of 10 times, they're going to say, thank you, let's talk. Not right now because I'm in the middle of my event, but let's talk. Let's set up some time. And I guarantee you almost that you're going to increase your business. I guarantee you that that is then going to multiply your business, because those small business people still are in the age of you talk to someone, I'll tell 2 friends, they'll tell 2 friends, and so on. The referral engine in small business world is incredibly important, because a small business cannot pay for every single lead and every single kind of business opportunity. So they rely on their customers telling more customers. And I guarantee you that if you make that small business happy and feel like they are empowered because of the greatness that you can bring them, they're going to tell people, and your phone is going to ring, and your email inbox is going to be full. Next question we usually get is, well, okay, I get it, I'll go up, but I'm not going to go to an event every night, and I'm not going to be able to, build my potential pipeline of business that way. Get involved in your community. The second thing from a small business perspective is they are kind of cornerstones of their community. 75% of a small business's activity is done with people that live within 10 to 15 miles of their business location. You get involved in that community, such as the Small Business Development Center, convention and visitor bureaus, chambers of commerce, and then just start talking about your family to your family and friends, saying, I'm looking to try to, any small businesses? Again, this opportunity, you end up starting being the innovation engine here for the small business space. And finally, not only are you somebody that's going to help them, but they want to learn from you. They'll say, because ultimately, I want to really end up doing it myself. But if you show them how easy that you can make their events, they're going to stay with you for a lifetime. But you have a huge amount of information from your experience and from everything else that you do that they just want to soak out of you. You can become, a speaker from Chamber of Commerce. You can do your own seminar series around how to do good events. And again, huge potential there that you'll be able to fill up the room, because these people, when they see value, they'll take the time and they'll go after it. One thing I want to just leave with you. Historically, the small business space has been kind of the lifeblood of our economic engine. And historically, small businesses have been kind of the future leading thing as to what's happening and what's going on in the economy. Small businesses are coming back. We're seeing an uptick in activity that we haven't seen in a number of years from Constant Contact, meaning we see people starting to come and say, we're going to start building our business, and then we're going to start to hire people. So the last thing that I would leave with you, if you want to be the innovator and grab a new market here in the small business space, do it now. Because that arrow is starting to go up, and if you can get in now on this time when we're starting to turn around, you're going to be there when we then start to blow up and expand, and those people are going to talk and say, hey, Diane helped me get out of this because she helped me with the events. You should too, and again, there's going to be a huge opportunity there for you. So thank you for this morning. I really enjoyed it, and I'll be in the back if you have any questions.